We have seen the three distinct aspects of the data analysis cycle in the last lecture, and now we're going to be moving forward and exploring each of these in much more depth. Our purpose in the remainder of this course is going to be to analyze the sales performance of our corporation. In this lecture, let's see how we can import a dataset into our system, and we're going to be doing this by clicking on New Document. Here you can see Microsoft Excel as a data source, and this is the data source that we'll be using. Let's explore the others before we make our selection. Here we have a text data source. This is going to allow us to import comma-separated value files. If you want to copy your data from a Microsoft Excel file and paste it here, you can select this option. And if you want to establish a direct connection to the SAP Enterprise systems, which are going to be holding all the transactions and the purchasing data, you can click on any three of these and you're going to be taken to that SAP source. If you want to work with SQL systems, you can do a query of an existing database and you can send this query over to that database and access information from that database using this query. If you want to connect to big data, you can use both of these. The connecting to Hadoop is going to allow you to load the HDFS files into your system. And here, if you want to execute SQL, you can access the RDBMS systems in Hadoop. We're going to be doing the basic Microsoft Excel selection, and let's click on Next. Here we're going to double click on Best Run Corp. You can see a preview of our data here, and we're going to firstly change the name of our dataset. Let's change this over to something like CBA Silicon Corporation. Let's make sure our file is correct. And if you see this semicolon here, you can actually put a space and add another file name, and that's going to allow you to import multiple datasets. The only thing you have to manage is to give the option of either appending these two together or merging them. We're going to be seeing that option in a few lectures. Let's come down to the sheet. Sheet 1 is going to be the only sheet available to us, so we'll leave that selection as is. And this is going to be allowing you to add information about the table header. So the table header is going to be the first row inside our table. If we look at our Excel sheet here, you can see that our first row is going to be holding all the information about the columns. So we can specify as to whether we want to ignore that first row or what exactly we want to do with that first row. We're going to be using a standard table to specify that, meaning that the first row is going to be ignored and it is going to be not part of the data that we analyze. Here you can see that we're able to select the specific columns that we want to import. And if we uncheck this field, it is going to be grayed out, meaning it's not imported. We're not going to be working with the comments. So if we come down here, we're going to be removing the comments field. Each of these comments are going to be unique, and we can't do any numeric analysis of these comments since it's going to be a text field and they're going to be a waste for us, so we'll remove those comments. If we come down to advanced options, here we have the option of restricting the columns as well as the rows that we want to import. So if we come over to range selection and change this over to custom range, we can come here and specify a custom range that we want to import. So if I do something like A through E, and if I make this 1 all the way to 100 and do an apply, this is going to allow me to import the first 100 rows that are going to be inside this table and restrict my columns to column A, B, C, D, and E. So the characters here are going to be working as the column names, and the row number beside it is going to be specifying the row numbers that we're going to be importing. However, we're actually not going to be using this custom range. We're going to be looking at all 16,000 values that we have, and this is basically because we want to make sure that our data is diverse and our visualizations are going to be interesting. So let's hit on create. And you can see that our data acquisition has been complete. If I come over to the prepare tab, all of our data has been loaded in. Thank you for joining me on this lecture, And let's move along to the next one.